Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. So today on the program, we have none other than Sandy Berger. We will be joining her in just a moment. And we are going to be talking all about digital assistants, and really, hey, it's the holiday season. Those things were pushed like crazy, and I think they sold pretty darn well too. So, you know, it's definitely a good time to definitely talk about this. So everyone, welcome into the program. First things first, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including the show notes, which will have links to anything that we talk about, anything and everything, including a link to our guest website, Compukiss.com. If you haven't checked it out, we highly recommend that you do so. And on top of that, there's a lot of articles, reviews, and more over at Computer America. And by the way, there should be a lot more here coming up soon because of course, CES is coming up, and that is going to be just such a massive event. And hey, we are going to be out there covering it live. Live for us. We are going to be recording videos and interviews, but we actually won't be airing it on the radio live. Just the way that Computer America is, we really value our long-form interview format, and just being able to sit down and talk with someone for half an hour or an hour at a time really, that's something that you really can't get in many other places. So being able to sit down with these CEOs and, really talk about their product, their service, and what they think really sets them apart is, kind of unique. And that's what we definitely want to highlight. So everyone, with that being said, happy holidays. Hopefully everything's going well for you and you are ready for Computer America, because only one more week. Next week, we will have a full lineup of shows, but then that's when the long break starts. And then, of course, we head into CES. So it's going to be about a good 3 to 4 weeks of just complete mayhem here with the show, and then sometime in mid-January we should be back to normal. But until then, everyone, hey, we're going to have a lot of shows for you. Just stay tuned and it'll be good. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead, bring on our guest, and she's waiting oh so patiently. Why don't we go ahead and introduce, once again, if you haven't heard of her, she is a longtime Computer America correspondent. She has written for so many different publications, longtime reviewer, and of course we value her honesty and of course her ability to break down even the most complex topics and bring them to the masses. Sandy Berger, welcome back onto Computer America. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Glad to be here.
Glad that you could, of course, make it back to the show. I know that the holidays are coming up. I'm sure that things are getting a little hectic over on your end. And hey, I know that it's hard to even squeeze out a little bit of time. But how are things going for you? Obviously North Carolina. I think you should have just barely gotten some snow yesterday.
No snow here. As a matter of fact, yesterday it was 75 degrees. It was a gorgeous day. I went outside and did some gardening.
So for everyone out there, obviously, Computer America, our recording studio is in Asheville, North Carolina. I don't think we're in the same Asheville. I don't think we're in the same North Carolina. Yeah, because We got snow last night. It's freezing here.
It is freezing here now,
Okay.
and it dropped like 40 degrees overnight.
That
So
that sounds more
I
like.
don't want to make you feel bad. It's cold out today.
Okay, yeah, that sounds more like it. So, but hey, I'm glad that you could of course make it here. And before we get started, why don't we go ahead and just for anyone out there who may be new to the show or at least new to your segment, why don't we just talk about what it is that you hope to do with your reviews and your topics that we talk about here on the show.
Well, what I hope to do is explain to people what products I think are good and what products would suit them, um, and have them be able to feel a little bit more confident when they put those dollar bills on the table or the credit card on the table. Um, so basically, I this year or the last few months, I've really been hot and heavy into home devices, speakers, uh, be it Amazon Echoes or Chromecasts or whatever. These things are so hot this holiday season in the stores that I wanted to tell everybody, what I think they should buy and what they'll be more or less happy with.
Absolutely, yeah, and we definitely appreciate that. And of course, like you alluded to there, we are going to be talking about some Amazon products, and of course, we'll probably squeeze some Google products in there as well. But these digital devices, you were an early adopter. I remember that you got in on Amazon Echo's mailing list, and of course, you were able to snag one way before most people even even thought of the idea. And just in your opinion, kind of over time, because it's been about like 3-4 years since you first
4 years, yeah, almost 4 years since I got my first Echo.
Since you got your first digital device, I mean, how over 4 years? Good,
over
good
4 years.
Goodbye.
The Amazon Echo has been fabulous. I got my money twice over or 3 times over, and the reason for that is that when I first got the Echo, it could do certain things like play music and tell jokes and stuff like that, answer questions. But as the years went on and the months went on, Amazon just kept adding more and more features, more and more things that the Echo could do. And basically, it is 10 times the device now that it was then. So I've been extremely happy with it, and I actually unplugged my original Echo for the first time this year. I'm debating if I want to trade it in or not.
Your first
Not because, and this is not because it doesn't work anymore.
Mhm.
It's just that Amazon has come out with Echoes that have so much better sound. And one of the main things I use these for is for playing music.
Right.
So that's the only reason the first Echo is not as good as the new Echoes, is because of the sound quality.
But of course, the all the software and things like that, it's the device that you bought 4 years ago is compatible with all the skills and all the different functions that any Echo device that you would buy today, you could do on the original Amazon Echo device, 4 years ago.
Pretty much so. They have added some things that, like you can now connect an Echo with a TV, with a TV stick, and mine you can't do that with. So there are a few little things that you can't do, but for the most part, it does 95% of what the new Echoes do.
I gotcha. Yeah, and of course, actually, before we even get started, and I actually navigated away from it. I have an email here from one of our. Yep, here it is, and I'll go ahead and send you. Let's see, I'll download this, and then hopefully I can just drop it right into Skype. So we get these infographics that companies, would like us to kind of include in our show notes and things like that. They tend to they essentially they want to get their name out there, but they do the research, they do the footwork so that I don't have to go out there and call 1,000 people to see what devices they're buying and things like that. And we'll probably throw this in the show notes because it's very relevant to today's conversation. And it was just fortuitous that this, it just kind of worked out this way. But Google versus Alexa. So obviously the two, and I will, whatever. I was wondering if I should actually use the names. I was like, whatever. So Google versus Alexa, and it's a state-by-state breakdown of the two devices and which states prefer which device. And So before we even, and I have some information to go along behind this infographic, and actually let's open a new tab so everyone on the video portion can see. Okay, so there's the map. It's all divided in either green or blue, green being Google and blue being Amazon and the Amazon Alexa device. So before we get started, Sandy Berger, you've been following this so closely. I would be very interested to kind of to hear what you think the breakdown is. And of course, you can already see the map, so you can kind of get a rough estimate. But what would you say percentage-wise? And we're only focusing on Google Alexa, no Apple Home Kit or anything like that. What would you say is the breakdown between the two? Which one's more popular? And let's go like a 60-40, 30-20, 30-70.
Well, what does the map actually show you, Ben? It shows you different amounts in different states.
Right.
But that's spread across the country.
I
right?
have, and sorry to interrupt you here, but I actually have the text and some context more behind it, so I actually do have the numbers. I was just, getting your educated guess.
Oh, well, my guess is that Alexa is ahead, and my guess for the future is that unless Google comes up with something spectacular, Alexa will remain ahead.
So here's the part that may surprise you, and very much so, saying that Google Assistant actually is ahead 51 to 49%. Google Alexa 51 to 49. It's almost 50-50 in the survey that they were able to take. And in fact, the Amazon Alexa device won outright in 20 states, and the Google Assistant won in 24. And I guess the other, 6 states, they probably didn't have enough data to kind of draw a conclusion. But yeah, it like so far in this company's research, they found almost a 50-50 split between the two devices. Like they are neck and neck. And just like you, I'm surprised. I did not think Google was doing that well.
Well, I knew Google was doing well, but the research that I've actually looked at has always put Alexa ahead. So it could just be this company's research, or they could be absolutely correct that it's a 50-50 split. Because to tell you the truth, people go into the store and they don't know which one to buy, and they're talking to other people, they're juggling things, trying to decide what to buy, and in some cases, they wind up buying a cheap version of each one to try it out. I think that's a great idea if you really want to play with these things and ask them questions, let them play music, and see which one will come out ahead on every item that you put out to them.
Right, and you are absolutely right. And by the way, I actually just found the methodology. Oh, and well, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place right now. Actually, I have a friend that's purchased a Google. The smaller ones, I want to say like the Dots, but I think that's like the Amazon Dot or the Echo
Amazon Dot, Google Home. I don't know what they call it.
It's like the Home, whatever the cheap Google Home one is, and just bought it for her parents. And her parents actually really do like it because they were using it at her place, and they were very interested in it. Like I'm surprised at how, and this is purely anecdotal, but it does seem to span generations. Like the young are perfectly okay with using it, as with most technology. But I think I don't say older, more people who are more advanced are definitely taking to it because just kind of talking to it naturally feels so easy to use.
Right, and some older people are using it as a companion. Which I've come across more than once. They just like, especially people that happen to be living alone, they just like the idea of having somebody to talk to. And of course, both sets of devices are getting more and more conversational. So every now and then Alexa will say, "Oh, thanks for asking," or something like that.
Yeah.
Getting more conversational, and I think in the future they're going to be even more so.
Oh, I have no doubt about that because these things, they really do thrive on keeping the conversation going. And, to some extent, if you can get things like your lights and music and, kind of useful and entertaining things kind of linked in, I really do feel like if Google and Amazon can get people to use them, instead of very basic things like light switches or even ordering things themselves by going online, if they can just
Right.
use these devices, that's amazing for these companies that I guess operate them. So
That's
that's
right.
what they want.
That's what they want, and that's why some of them are cutting prices, which is nice for the consumer because they'll shave a little bit off their price so that you buy one, and then they'll make up for it in advertising and selling things and all that. And we don't, as Americans, we pretty much don't mind that. Those of us who are over 50 have watched TV our whole lives with commercials.
Hmm.
I have seen newspapers with ads in them, and we're more than used to that sort of thing. So it's not inconvenience to us.
And I will say that after I have almost cut myself completely out of being advertised to, I do find it a little annoying, but I'm beginning to realize that if without advertising, and I've lived without advertising for a number of years now, I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know what movies are playing. I don't know what devices are coming out. I don't know what's going on out there. Like, I'm not saying that advertising is the only way you should learn about products, but I mean, advertising does play an important role in how people shop. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So let's, and if you don't mind, let's go ahead and shift the conversation a little bit towards specific devices. We'll start with Amazon because you have two Echo devices that you wanted to bring up, and I'll be honest, did we talk about these, or are these completely new for the holiday season?
We talked about them coming, and that was last
Right.
month. They hadn't come out yet. So that we're talking about the Echo Studio and the Echo Sub. The Echo Sub was out last month, but the Studio has just come out this month. Before
Yeah.
we go there, though,
Hmm.
Ben, I just want to say something about what we were just talking about, which is the Amazon Echo versus the Google Home devices,
Hmm.
which, by the way, are now called Google Nest devices.
Of course.
Um, in any case, in previous to now, people would ask me constantly, which one should I buy? Which one should I buy? And I always said that Amazon is superior at reading books because they have Audible connected to them. You can do audio books, and Alexa reads other books as well. And but Google was always better at answering questions and better at playing music.
Hmm.
However, the tables have completely turned in this past month, in the past 2 months, I should say. Um, Google is still better at answering questions. And I don't mean infinitely better, I just mean slightly better at answering questions. But now, Amazon is still the best at reading books. However, they are also have suddenly become the best at playing music. And that is why we're going to talk about two devices today that are essentially musical devices.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very important, and I'm kind of glad that it did switch because I think Amazon. The more I hear about their new the Amazon Music HD,
HD.
yeah, the more I hear about that, like people are really enjoying, I guess, the higher fidelity that Amazon has to offer, and I'm also glad that Amazon, of course, then is bringing out products to highlight that instead of, like you said, the subpar. Speakers that used to be found in their devices.
Right. Now, I remember back in, maybe in the 50s, 60s, that people would spend thousands of dollars on hi-fi equipment,
Hmm.
thousands of dollars for their speakers and all that sort of
You
thing.
still can, yeah.
And they still can, exactly. But the quality, when we went to MP3s, the quality dropped dramatically. Now, people were willing to take that drop in quality of the music because of convenience, because they could carry the MP3 with them and blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
However, what Amazon has done when they introduced this high def music, or HD music as they call it, is they've increased the quality of the music so that you can get that same quality that they had back in the 50s and 60s over all these speakers, and you could get it streaming. So the Amazon Music's HD streaming Amazon came out with that at $12.99 a month. That's for Prime members. I think you pay $3 extra if you're not a Prime member.
Right.
But that is phenomenal because it's only a couple dollars more than the base price of Spotify and some others. And for that same price, you're getting HD music. And you're getting HD music that also has Dolby Atmos. Are you familiar with that, Ben?
Maybe in movies, but not in like a home setting.
It's absolutely amazing. It is like being in the movie theater because to put it, to simplify it, what Dolby Atmos does is it shoots the sounds in an upward position, and the people who develop the music can then place the sound in various areas of so far, as you might say anyway, in different areas of the room. So the music sounds like it's coming from different places, just as it does in the movie theater. And you can get this at home.
Yeah, and of course that is definitely a game changer. And by the way, to add one little tidbit that I learned about a month ago, and much like any other 3-year-old out there who learns a new piece of information, I want to share it with everyone. The reason that I think people like our listening habits changed from back in the day when when vinyl records and the like were really prevalent was because back then you used to listen to albums where it would be, 10, a dozen, so many songs within an album, and you would listen to them, in sequence. And a studio could master those songs so that the volume was the same level, everything was mixed the same way, everything's great. Now with MP3, a person may go from oldies to hip hop to rap to country to pop. They jump from not just artist to artist, but genre to genre. And these individual MP3s, they all have to be mixed, kind of the same, because if you want to be a trendsetter and you want to, turn everything down a little bit, when it comes, when it gets played within a playlist, it's going to sound bad. It's going to sound weird. So essentially, every MP3 out there, not only is it compressed all to heck, but it's also mastered just so poorly compared to music from yesteryear. And that's where HD music can really come in, is that they actually do take the time and they do master them differently than regular music. So they're like, just kind of speaking from a technology standpoint, it's not just, they're just making it up. Oh, it's all psychosomatic, whatever. There is truth behind music does sound different when it comes to HD music. So
you're absolutely right. There's a big difference. And some people will say, well, I don't hear any different. And maybe they don't. But maybe they're just not listening.
But that's a personal problem, right?
To listening to really good music. And you're right. This music is mastered in the studio to be exactly what the sounds were. If you're listening to a symphony orchestra or something else that is from a studio, they're created in high def so that they can be just what the person who wrote the music expected it to be.
Right.
And it's got a lot more depth than any MP3 I will ever have.
Right. And so with that, you need the right kind of equipment, because your average earbuds, I think even AirPods actually score pretty low. And AirPods are, like $200 fashion statements at this point. I think even AirPods score pretty low when it comes to discerning different kinds of music. But when you have something like the, like the Echo, in addition to the Echo Sub, as well as the Echo Studio, that's when you're going to be able to tell a difference. So did you want to start on one of these, or?
Yeah, we need to talk about the Studio first. This is
Sure.
Echo Studio, the new Alexa that Amazon has come out with. And when I say that, I mean it is a fully functioning Alexa device. It can handle the lights for you. It can play the music for you. It can tell jokes. It can answer questions. You can use it as an intercom. All these things that an Echo can normally do, this device can do too. Now, it's bigger than a normal Echo. It is about 8 inches high and 8 inches round and heavy. It's probably close to 8 pounds. So don't expect it's going to look just like an Echo because it's round like an Echo, but it's shorter, squatter, and heavier. Um, that said, the thing that's the most exciting about this to me is the price. They're selling the Echo Studio right now at $199. And if you go out and try to buy a speaker that does high def
Mm-hmm.
and does Atmos, just one speaker will cost you at least that. And this is one speaker. It's got it's got 3 mid-range speakers, a tweeter, a 5.5, a 5.25 woofer, and does Dolby Atmos and HD. Oh, by the way, it also does Sony 360 Reality Audio, which is similar to Dolby Atmos. So it handles the highest quality of music, which is amazing.
Yeah, and by the way, I just went to go type into Google, of course, and high def Atmos speakers, and you're looking at anywhere from $800 down to like $200, and yeah, I would say somewhere in the multiple $100 range. And then, of course, this one has all the smart functionality. And I do want to ask you, though, real quick, that you've mentioned that, and I think it was last month, Google had it all over Amazon when it came to multiple speakers playing the same music. I'm assuming that this functions with other, if someone was crazy enough to get multiple Echo Studios, this would function with multiple studios, correct?
It will. You can even pair 2 studios so that you have a stereo, one left and one right.
Very nice.
Or you can add other studios. You can add other Echo devices. The newer devices all will, well, even my old Echo, you can do a whole house speaker mode. So you could say, Alexa, play this music everywhere, and it'll play on every Amazon speaker that you have in the house.
I gotcha. No, and some very, very helpful illustrations out there. And this is one technology that I know Bose was really working on a couple of years ago, and I guess it's just gotten to the point where, like, it used to be just sound bars used to be able to do this, where they call it like the next dimension audio, and this has to do with the Atmos technology. But essentially, being able to have one sound source, but then it kind of scans the room and is able to project the music or any sound whatsoever, like it's coming from like it's coming from multiple places. So no longer needing a sound bar, which is nice.
You're absolutely right. It analyzes the acoustics of the room. As you turn it on, it analyzes the acoustics. It adjusts the audio filters that are included in it to optimize the sound, no matter where you place it. Now, that said, this should be at least 6 inches from a wall. Toward the center of the room is the best if you only have one.
Mm-hmm.
But it will analyze it, and Google does the same thing with their Google Max. But I'll tell you, I have a Google Max. I have loved it up until now. But I am so impressed with the Echo Studio that my Max is not going to get too much use anymore.
You don't think so? You think that the
really
Google Max?
I'm absolutely amazed. The Google Max cost $399 when it came out.
Yeah.
I believe it's down to $299 now.
Mm-hmm.
But the Echo Studio is $199. So for $100 cheaper, it does the Atmos and it does the high res. Now, Google Max is great at playing even high res music, but there is more depth to it when you listen to it on the studio.
Go ahead. Yeah, so sorry to step on you here, but I will say that just again another Google foo, that's down to $249, but of course still $50, 25% more than this product right here at $199. And then I wanted to look up do you recall what the largest Apple speaker used to be called? Is it it's not the HomePod, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
HomePod.
Yeah.
Yeah, the HomePod, which was also all about music fidelity as well, although it looks like HomePod 2 is not out yet. But the HomePod is still at like $200, but of course doesn't run really anything like Amazon or Google. So
right now, Amazon has done one other thing that I think is absolutely spectacular.
Hmm.
You talked about a sound bar. Okay, so you buy a TV today, and almost everybody runs out and buys a sound bar because the speakers in the TV are not that good.
Right.
Well, what Amazon has done is the studio will connect wirelessly with a Fire TV stick. Now, it's got to be a new Fire TV stick. So the Fire TV 4K is the stick to use to connect it.
Hmm.
So very easy to connect, very easy to turn on and all this other stuff. And I connected it to my Fire TV 4K stick, and I turned the TV on, and it was I think it was playing some movie of some sort. Anyway, my husband walked into the room, and he sat and he listened for a while, and he says, "This sounds different." Yes, it does. I just put this new thing on and blah, blah, blah. He says, "No, no." He says, "What I mean is I can hear the conversation. I can hear
Ah.
people talking much more clearly than he could with our old system." Now, I have a good old system, okay?
Hmm.
My system is a receiver, five surround speakers, so it's got really good quality, especially for music. But when you play the TV, I think a lot of people have this trouble. You can't really hear the quality of the conversation. When people talk, it gets a little bit muffled.
Yeah,
And
that's a very common complaint nowadays with movies, is that it's almost like the background music or like the side effects. It's almost like all of them are like mixed higher, and then the conversations are always kind of down low. But it leads people to like turning it. And really, honestly, I think just for me, it's people turn it down to the point where the explosions and the sound effects are bearable, but then the conversation is much lower than everything else. So
exactly, I have some older friends who put the captions on
yeah.
constantly because they just can't hear the speaking that much. And this studio just plays it so clearly. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I think that the Atmos speaker probably has something to do with that because it is shooting information out toward the ceiling. And maybe that's why. I'm not sure exactly why. But I will tell you, my husband said, "Don't take that thing off our television."
I would definitely give a lot of credit to Dolby Atmos and being able to project the sound where it needs to be. So
Yeah,
I would probably
yeah.
put it to that.
And I
Yeah,
agree. I agree with him completely. The audio of the conversations is much better on this device.
that's just what
Now,
you. Yeah.
yeah, there's just one caveat.
Hmm.
This works only with streaming. So if you're streaming through the Fire TV, whether you're on Hulu or Netflix or Disney Plus, it doesn't matter. By the way, Disney Plus sounds great on this thing. Um,
Right.
but it doesn't matter. Whatever you're streaming, it depends, of course, on the quality of what you're streaming. So Jack Ryan, I don't know if you've seen that on Amazon.
Right.
That is an Atmos enabled movie.
Hmm.
So you listen to that on the speaker, and you hear the difference tremendously.
But then some of the older shows and some of the some things that weren't optimized for Dolby Atmos, they sound kind of like it
They
used to sound.
No, they still sound better. The
Oh, okay.
conversation still sounds better on this,
I gotcha.
without a doubt. Even on the average TV, say you watch Hulu Live,
Hmm.
and you're really watching a TV display, a broadcast display or audio,
Hmm.
that sounds better. Yeah, everything sounds better with this device,
I
and so
Yeah.
that's why I'm loving it.
Very, very interesting. And although I do want to bring up, kind of a personal point here, is that just yesterday, did some early Christmas shopping for myself because I love me and me deserves it. So I
Right.
will so I will say that I went to I won't say what big box store, but everyone wore blue shirts, and I went in there and purchased Well, I was standing in the section that had all of the different streaming devices, the Roku and the Fire TV stick and the Chromecast, and I was thinking back to my countless conversations with Sandy Berger. I was like, if I had to choose any of these based on what Sandy said, I would just close my eyes and pick up the Roku, the $70 Roku device, and never look back. I have a confession, Sandy. I didn't do that. I got the
Okay.
Chromecast, the 4K Chromecast streaming device. And again, this is completely off topic, but I just want to say that I got it because, and you may enlighten me. You may know about this, and I just didn't see the feature. The reason I got it was because it lets you mirror anything from your Chrome browser onto your Chrome device.
Correct.
And I don't know if any other if I'm sorry, I don't know if any of the other streaming devices allowed you to mirror your browser onto your TV.
A lot of them do. It is the easiest to do with the
Right.
Chromecast device. There's no doubt about that. And I still use my Chromecast, and I still use it connected with my um, Google Home device.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect any Google Home device, even the little one, with your Chromecast. And basically, the thing that is the most exciting for me is to watch music videos.
Yeah.
So you can, without even having a computer. And the computer, I understand, the younger generation loves having a computer in their lap or a tablet or
Mm-hmm.
a phone in their hand and throws it to the television.
Right.
But the older generation doesn't want to do that. So for the older generation, I'd say go ahead and get a little Google Home device that allows you to throw it. And oh boy, once you get into those music videos, they're
Mm-hmm.
very hard to turn off.
Very no,
Very
very
hard to
true.
turn off.
And I will say that one other aspect that we don't really talk about and I don't know if there's an Amazon app with this as well, but when I got the Chromecast and the smart TV and blah blah blah, Google's very insistent that you get the Google Assistant app, which I'm sure comes kind of natively with like a lot of Android apps and of course with the Google
Right.
Play Store. But on iOS, they're very insistent that you get the Google Assistant, which is the software that's built into all of these Nest home devices. I didn't do it, but I wanted to ask you: is there any benefit to having, let's say, the Google Assistant or the Amazon Alexa assistant? If you don't really use an assistant all that much, like to have it on like your phone or something like that.
Yes, there is. I mean, I use mine on my phone. I have both on my phone, and if one can't answer a question, the other one can. And I now, which is something we can talk about maybe next month, I now am back to being an iPhone user. So I have
Goodness.
Siri as well. So I have three guys that I can ask questions to. And so, yes, the Amazon app also lets you easily shop, but Google does too, but Amazon is easier. But for having that advantage of
Yeah.
being able to get directions from any of them or other things like that, find out where the local taco station is, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, I like having more than one device of each type. Because sometimes I'll say, Alexa, tell me about George Washington and did he have any tattoos is what I asked at one point. And Alexa didn't know, but Google did know. So those are the kind of reasons to have
Yeah.
more than one. By the way, they hook up wirelessly separately, but they can control all your devices if you want them to. So in other words, Google Home or Google Nest and Amazon Echo devices can work side by side on the same network with no special attention.
That's something that I'm really learning to appreciate because there's also a smart camera that I installed for security reasons, and being able it's really refreshing, and I'm glad that I'm coming into this kind of late. And I'm glad that at this point, most apps, they will kind of have functionality either within the Google Home app, or I'm sure that Amazon does it as well. If it detects other compatible apps or services either on your phone or within your Wi-Fi network, it will just kind of say, "Oh, hey, we can make a connection here. Press this button," and it just works. Like, I'm thinking back to all the networking problems I had, like even just setting up a printer, way back when, was one of the biggest headaches in the world. And
Right.
it's gotten so easy lately. Like, these companies are really doing a good job working with each other's services.
They are, and it is making it easier for the end user, which is the nicest part about that.
For sure, for sure. So let's go back and touch real quick on the Echo Studio, $200. This is the new top of the line, because I'm trying to look at the other Amazon devices, and
This is the top of the line,
yeah,
and the uh, what was the Amazon Echo Plus? I think it's
they have
still
the Echo Show and the Echo Plus. Yeah,
the Echo Plus is still selling for $99 or 129, something like that.
yeah,
This studio does so much more. I think I would advise anybody to go ahead and just get a studio if they're going to go, because it does everything the Echo Plus does.
right.
But you get more speaker action, better action. Like I said, the one drawback is that this works only for streaming. Now, I have to explain that just a little bit. The one port on this thing is a 3.5 millimeter Toslink, which is an optical connection. Now, almost all TVs that I know of have an optical connection.
Hmm.
So you could connect this device directly with your TV and get all of your TV broadcasts through the studio. Which, by the way, if you're getting it just because the conversations are clearer, that might be a good thing to do. However, the optical link will not do HD music, and it won't do Dolby Atmos. So I don't understand why they only put this on this device. I guess it was a cost thing. I'm not sure. I think in the future, I would like to see anyway, uh, an Echo Studio that has an HDMI port, so you could play it through the TV and play everything. And I think that's the direction they're going at, uh, because this device already works just like a soundbar,
Hmm.
for your streaming, but it doesn't work like a soundbar unless you hook it up to your
That's
to
that.
optic.
Yeah, that's so strange. And I'm actually, I saw the optical link. It has that little, that kind of like little connector to it. And I have never actually used one of those. But I wanted to see if there's any way to convert it. And unfortunately, it looks like you can go from HDMI to an optical link, but it kind of like it brings the HDMI signal down to the optical link for obvious reasons.
Right.
So
You can't go from one to another down. Oh, so
yeah,
in any case, I don't know why they put I know why they put the optical link on, but if you do connect your TV to it, you're losing some of the sound quality that you had for the high def music. So I actually called Google and had a long, I'm sorry,
Amazon.
Amazon,
Yeah.
and had a long talk with them about this, to see if I was missing something and there was some other way to do it. And it seems like there is no other way to do it. That's just the way it is on this device at this time. So,
Right. So first generation, and hey, there you go. And so that thing coming in at like $200, and just that one, and here's 3.5 millimeter mini optical line in,
mm,
and that's about it. So strange. Maybe they were just assuming that this thing was going to be used for music, and it's just you just need to hook up speakers. But you
well,
get,
I think
yeah,
they were thinking two things. They were thinking music and they were thinking Amazon Video.
yeah.
This thing handles both of those. What I'm saying is that they could expand it a little bit so that it would be a total sound quality thing for your TV in general.
I gotcha. So with
Yeah.
that being said, I think we can go ahead and kind of scooch on over to the Echo Sub as well, which was out last time, but obviously the Sub working with the Echo, and this is the device that you're supposed to buy in conjunction with other speakers to give it a bit more, I guess just to make it sound better.
It boosts the bass.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Is it's a woofer. It's a down-firing woofer. And the Echo Sub costs $129. Now, it was cheaper for Black Friday, and they might have another sale on some of their devices coming up right before Christmas. But this device at $129 gives you 100 watts of kind of really deep bass. Now, it's not the quality of what a 20 something might want, really deep bass. But it's good quality bass, and it does add something to the sub if you want to go that route and have a complete musical device.
Yeah, this seems to be the device that you buy that if you have, let's say you've only invested in a couple of the Echoes or even the Minis, that you would buy this just to, if you're playing music, make the music sound a little bit better. Because
Right.
would you kind of recommend this maybe in conjunction with, we just talked about the studio, this and the studio, or would it be kind of redundant with the studio?
No, this is what adds more bass to the studio, and the studio itself has enough bass, in my opinion. However, when you add the sub, you do hear that heaviness of a good woofer. Now, again, at $129, to buy a good woofer, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah.
so you can add it to one Echo Stub, or you can add it to several Echo Subs. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Studios.
There we go.
But I think the sub only works with third generation Echo Dots and Echo devices.
I got
So it does not work with second generation or my old Amazon Echo. It won't work with that.
And of course, that's why or one of the main reasons why it might be getting the boot. So, and
Correct.
actually, since we're on this topic of all these different Echo devices, the Echo, kind of software side, I have not been paying attention to, all the different skill sets and what they're able to do with one another. And really, ever since they really opened up the ecosystem so that anyone can make their own Amazon skill, that's about the last I've even heard about it. The kind of the software side and being able to actually do things with these, because we've been talking a lot about the hardware, and the hardware is making a lot of advancements. That seems to be the sentiment I got from you.
Right.
The software side, though, is Amazon keeping up with Google when it comes, not just content, but let's say all the different camera companies or ordering things online or so on and so forth. Is this thing useful for other things other than Amazon stuff?
Yes, definitely. Amazon is handling more and more other things. So they've made friends between Amazon and Google. It used to be that you couldn't watch YouTube on the Fire TV,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't sell any Google stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
But they have made friends now, at least for a while. I think it will stay up because you can watch YouTube very easily on a Fire TV now, and they're connecting together. I even see Amazon now selling what is Portal, the
Yeah.
Portal, the Netflix device,
Well,
which is
a Facebook device. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Facebook device, which is in direct competition with the Amazon
Sure.
Echoes,
Yeah.
Echo Show, yeah. So Amazon is making friends with all these other companies, and they're able to sell their devices back and forth. Now, again, this is just good news for the consumer, because you can do a lot more with the devices.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm for anyone out there watching the video portion, I'm checking out all the different skills with like editor picks and top skills, premium skills, things like that. man, they have a lot of different skills that people can do, and a lot of weird ones. Like I've never tried, even heard of a lot of these, like open the magic door and ask Pikachu to talk. I mean, there seems to be kind of fortunately, unfortunately, like it looks like the premium apps are mostly going to be. The premium apps are mostly going to be like your ambient sounds to fall asleep to, like thunderstorms and things like that. People are charging for, but I'm almost kind of getting like the Android app store kind of feel, where there's like a lot of like not as useful kind of very short term skills, but they want you to download them. Like, so I don't know if these skills have purchases within them, but the skills themselves look some of them are like no brainers, like being able to listen to NPR or Jeopardy or get the news and weather, things like that. But others are just kind of weird.
Well, it's not really a problem with skills, but there are many more skills on Amazon than there are on Google. That being said, you can't assess the quality of these skills until you actually use them.
True.
And it's very difficult at this point in time to go through a list that will run 2 feet long or more of all the skills when you don't know what those skills do. So Ben, if you want a new profession, you could be a professional skill, not writer, advisor. Try out all these skills and tell people if they're good or not. Because every now and then I'll find one that I'm like really impressed with. For instance, on Amazon, they have one called Big Sky. And what that does is it tells you the weather. So you say, Alexa, ask Big Sky what the weather is going to be today or next week or whenever you want,
Right.
in any location. But it not only gives you the temperature and the wind velocity, but it goes into everything that you could possibly imagine for the weather. And it's not only intriguing, it's very useful. It'll tell you what time it's going to rain, how much it's going to rain. Sometimes it's right, like any weather forecasting thing.
Right.
Most of the time it's right, but not always. But it's a great skill. And there's other skills like that are really great. You have to just be discerning about what you choose and what it can do.
Are there any skill categories that you like maybe think that, again, obviously the weather is going to have very obvious implications, but they have a lot of different skill categories like business and finance, communication, connected car, education, food, drink, games, trivia. Are there any categories that you go to just kind of idly and like, let's see if there's something useful or interesting in maybe lifestyle or shopping or productivity?
I don't necessarily go to any I don't fear myself for
new
any
skills,
one.
I guess is another way to ask that question.
Well, I think reading, what other people have said about skills is really good. Or if you're interested in one particular thing, like you're interested in the weather, then go and try them. But there are so many skills, it's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling. And you have to spend some time skimming through them and reading about them and trying to find the ones that you like.
I will say, you made a comment a little while ago about people using these connected devices as companion devices. Just something in your house to talk to. And I will say that I found here an app of 5,000 reviews, 4.5 stars. And all it is that you say, Alexa, good night, and Alexa will say good night back to you. That's all it does, and it's a highly rated skill. So,
okay, and she'll do that anyway without the app. She'll say, if you say good night, she'll say good night a lot of times. But yes, there are apps for just about everything.
Seems like
some are good, some are bad. Just like on your phone, whatever.
Right.
you go
So
to try.
yeah. So and actually and Sandy, if you don't mind, I kind of wanted to pivot the whole show because we have like 5 minutes left, and I wanted
Okay.
to talk about something that came up today, and it was kind of a breaking point for me. This is a completely different topic than what we've been talking about, and
Yep.
I also wanted your input because you've been dealing with technology for so long. I think that your input here will be valuable as well. But I wanted to ask you 5G, I'm sure that you've heard about, phones and
Hmm.
5G. If anyone out there has been touched by Verizon, then you know that that's what they're pushing. Sandy, have you heard anything about health ramifications and 5G networks?
Um, I have heard that there is some interest in finding out about that, and there was a state just recently that
Hmm.
oh that actually wanted to put. I think they
California,
did.
California, I think.
California, yeah. They put something on, or made a law saying that if it was a 5G phone, it had to have a disclaimer on there,
Saying it could be
for
a potential source of radiation. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so this actually happened with a colleague of mine today, and if he's listening, hey, how you doing? He actually made me, kind of bring this up because it's been on my mind, and unfortunately, I've been hearing these stories for like 2 or 3 years now. Like I've actually had guests come on the show, and after the program, they, I don't mind when they contact me, keep the line of communication going, but then they would
Mhm.
send me these stories from conspiracy theorists that 5G is causing cancer. It's really really harmful, and I just wanted to spend just a couple of minutes here, 2-3 minutes, saying that 5G overall does not pose health risks. And I'm, and trust me, Sandy, I've read just what you read. California is doing that, and most of the experts' opinions, they're doing very much like experts do, where they say things like, it requires further study. We need to do more tests. It's not, it's inconclusive, if it caused radiation or not. Um, the overall opinion that I seem to be getting when I did my research was that if you stand out in the sun for like 5 minutes, you are getting more radiation from 5G than you will like ever get from a cell phone
You,
signal
you mean from the sun?
from the sun. And I'm not just talking
Yeah,
about UV radiation. I'm talking about
right,
radio wave radiation as well. Um,
right.
yeah,
The funny thing is that everybody thinks this is a problem, and if it is a problem, we're all going to be dead soon because there are so many rays going through the airwaves right now. There is so much happening here. They just Duke Energy just came through our area
hmm,
putting on smart meters. And these smart meters, the person doesn't have to get out of his car to read the meter. It's
we got
all
those too.
read
Yeah,
online. Okay. Well, I've had people here that contacted me and said, "Oh my God, this is terrible. There's going to be so much radiation coming from these things." And I'm like, "Do you have a microwave in your house?" Yes. Do you have a cell phone? Yes. Do you do wireless? Yes. Those are all rays that are coming through in the air. And I really don't believe that any of them hurt us or we would know it by now.
yeah. And trust me, like it's one of those things that that's why a large portion of people who wore those goofy earpieces for
Hmm.
phones, like some of them did it for safety reasons. I love it, go hands free. But another large portion are like, I don't want radio waves so close to my head and give me brain cancer or something like that. And then there's also people who refuse to keep their phone in their pocket because they were afraid they were going to fry their swimmers. So things like that. It's a and you've been writing about technology for 30 years or so. I'm sure that you've ran into your number of unfounded conspiracy things with technology, like I don't know, maybe printers are monitored by the FBI. This just happens. Like with every year, there's a new hoax, And I think for 5G, I've just heard it so many times. I wanted to end the show with, 5G will not hurt you. According to the World Health Organization, according to many doctors, and I'm just reading one about a study of rats that found that there was no correlation. In fact, rats who were exposed to the 5G radiation actually lived a little bit longer than the control group.
There you go.
Who the heck knows?
That's something to think about. I don't think any of these rays are going to make us live longer, but I also don't think that they're hurting us. And I've heard this for years and years. Yeah. As you say, something new comes online, and social media sometimes helps to spread these things.
I honestly think that is the reason. And I haven't checked any of the news organizations like, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever. I haven't checked to see if they're pushing it, but I think social media is playing a huge role in pushing this misinformation. And now if anyone asks me about this again, I'm going to say December 11th. Of course, on Computer America, the last 5 minutes of the show, although listen to the whole thing, it was great. Last 5 minutes of the show, that's my opinion on it with Sandy Berger. And yeah, 5G will not kill you. It's just not something that we can conclusively say it will. Maybe in the future, right. Hey, more testing, but for now, it's safe. It's safe. So.
I think you're absolutely right.
Oh, goodness. So, Sandy, with that being said, we're running fast into the end of the show. If people want to find out more, Compukiss, of course, and what can they find there?
Compukiss.com, COMPUKISS. I try to keep it up with all my ideas and new devices that I look at, and you're more than welcome to come and study anything. Give you some new ideas.
Absolutely. And 5G will provide huge leaps for technology. And I don't think you covered, it will not give you cancer. So there you go. So everyone, hey, thank you so much for tuning to thank you for tuning into Computer America. Sandy Berger, thank you so much. Next month, Sandy, let's go ahead and cover everything at CES. We'll come back with trends and some of the things that we found. And I'd love your reaction on it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Until next time. Hey, everyone, have a great one. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.